My name is Peter Crowley. I'm here with Colette Twomey. We're talking about startup businesses. Both of us started small businesses many years ago and have grown them through various means, and we'd like to share that with you. And I'm particularly interested in Colette's story, because that is a classic story of a small, successful local business in a reasonable sized town, Clonakilty, growing to being nearly a national stroke multinational company. I've been in business myself all my life. I started my first company when I was 23 years old. I just had an ambition to work for myself and to be involved in business. I've been involved in a number of different businesses. The primary one is the Dynorod operation in Ireland now, which we bought the franchise for way back in 1975, and then subsequently grew it throughout the country, and then bought out the franchise and the IP for Dynorod in Ireland. So we now own the brand, and we grew other companies out the side of that. A water management company, a telecommunications company back in the day, grew them and sold them on, and I've been involved in a number of other businesses as an investor. Colette, if you'd like to give us a quick CV on yours.
Hi everybody, I'm delighted to be part of the 2020 entrepreneur experience, and thanks for the invitation. As Peter said, Colette Twomey, my business is Clonakilty Black Pudding, white pudding, sausages, veggie pudding, you name it. And my business started back in 1976, which seems an awful long time ago now, when I got married in Clonakilty, moved from Minarbridge near Cork City, and moved to Clonakilty with bought a butcher. My husband bought a butcher shop, and there with the butcher shop was a 100-year-old recipe for black pudding. And when we started business, we really thought that there wasn't any room there wasn't any market, there wasn't any, it wasn't a trendy thing to be eating black pudding or anything like that. There was no such thing as putting black pudding in starters, or it was just for the every morning fry up. So I suppose with our consumer insight at our focus groups at the time were customers coming into the shop, and people came in especially for the pudding, and people came when they were on holidays, came in for the pudding. At Christmas, we sent it to their relatives in, up the country or in London and all that. So I suppose the penny dropped somewhere along the way that there was a market there for this product, good quality product, and that's how it was. So that's really what we I suppose we did a lot of work in that. There was loads of vision. There wasn't a great plan. It was a lot of kind of firefighting system of and as Peter was saying, what you do in business is you survive, and it was surviving. So we went from the butcher shop, making the pudding at the back of the butcher shop, to converted farmhouses on just a mile outside Clonakilty. Then later on, we moved to licensed premises in Cork, because there wasn't one available in Clonakilty, and it was in Little Island. And then in 2017, we came back here to Clonakilty with a new building, and we have grown the business from the butcher shop to the small shop around the corner to the bigger supermarket and way beyond. And we've added on the products, the white pudding and the sausages, and that all along the way.
When you bought that butcher's shop, so you got this recipe sort of, and you didn't realize what was in the drawer effectively.
Absolutely no, and really had no value in it. Really had no value because
before you bought that shop, we used to go on pilgrimages to Clonakilty to buy that pudding.
Yeah,
from the previous owners.
That's it, because we knew when people came to the door, saw the name changed over the door, kind of stuck their head in and said, "Can you still get Harrington's pudding here?" So as it was the signature product in just the butcher shop, and from there then we we grew on it. So I suppose the first good luck we had is that we copped that there was something, it had something going for it. So
Right.
that was, and not, at the time, there were a lot of small over-the-counter shops, and the self-service shops were starting. The mini market and the small supermarket.
But and the regulations weren't as tight
absolutely
as
not.
they are now. So you were able to cook away in the back room without taking too much notice.
Open the window and if it was a small buyer, all very, very physical. Peel the onions. Onions was the bane of our life. Sunday night you'd be checking that there was enough onions peeled for Monday morning, and we had kids coming in after school, guys coming in peeling onions, and like that's not a pleasant job.
And at what stage did you decide that you had a serious business, that you needed to sort of change the structure from cooking it yourself on a Sunday night to putting some systems in to get the product out?
I suppose really I suppose in the early 80s, in 83, we formed a company, and we at that stage we had a farm just at the outskirts of town, and we converted we couldn't afford to build a factory at the time, and we converted some animal sheds really, and that was when we realized that there's the standards and there was absolutely standards to be adhered to, and but I remember when we were building that, the guy doing the cold rooms, he said to Eddie at the time, he said, if we made this a little bit wider, it would be able to take a pallet. And Eddie said to him, when are we ever going to have a pallet of pudding? So and I mean, we often thought about back on it, because it was things like how many pallets a week are you spending? A lot of pallets now. An awful lot of pallets now. Yeah. It is. It's now it's great, but it was really as small as that. We Sorry, Peter.
Tell me about Delegation. Now, at some stage, you weren't able to do it all yourself.
That's the thing.
You started more or less on your own.
That is the thing. And
at some stage, did you consciously decide then to grow the business and say we're going to take on specialist people in specialist places?
Yes, I think the early 80s. Yeah, in the early 80s, when we had put the name Clonakilty and labeled the pudding and put the name Clonakilty on it, and when the bigger. Our first break was when somebody from Quinsworth had it in. We always sent it to Crumlett Lodge in Sligo, a bed and breakfast, and there was a director of Quinsworth there for the weekend, and he rang on the Monday, and he rang Eddie and he said, look, I have a couple of shops, I'd like to have your pudding, and where are they? They're Dublin or they're whatever, and we said, that's grand, and it turned out to be a director of Quinsworth. So, and then after that, we had a lot of, I suppose we made a lot of luck along the way. You meet people, and
at what stage did you have to secure the brand as a trademark and register?
We did that in the early 80s. Once we put the name on it and secured it and trademarked it, when we formed the company back in 82. We formed the Clonakilty Black Pudding Company first, and then it's Clonakilty Food Company now. So, before that it was Carberry Meats, which is the area around here, so, it's that kind of technical. And I suppose that's really where, Eddie and I were both hands-on. He was in the factory all the time. I was out doing board beer cookery nights, going to local, GA festivals, going to different things, and with the skillet, with the pan and the product, and we cooked, and that was our marketing. We would, so it was tasting, and I suppose being passionate about the product, and that was really how it took wings. And we so where are we with things like accounts, and where are we with all these kind of things? They were not our skills, absolutely not our skills. And I suppose that's where Delegation comes in, and if I suppose learn fast, learn soon what skills you're lacking in. And certainly accounting was one of my weaknesses. So you hire somebody better than yourself. And that, I think,
Right.
that has stood to us. And, you know, again, Eddie would have made black pudding all day, but he wouldn't be sitting doing the paperwork and the traceability and the HACCP and the different things. So you have somebody else doing that, you know, and that's really where it.
Did you ever have to go fundraising or looking for cash, or did you?
No, we kept very, I suppose we had, because of the shop, we had cash flow. We had, like, there was a time when we went twice a day with lodgements up the street to the bank. And we've always, the bank, we've always had bank facility, and we've always, I suppose we've always had a very good relationship, and that was not with the same person all the time, but we had, and that's when we needed money, we got it. And there was a time when it was really high interest, but I think we could follow the bank, we could understand the bank, and we weren't out of our comfort zone dealing with the bank. Whereas to get investors and all of that would not have been, you know, in our comfort zone.
I understand. So you've never given away any of the business effectively. You've held it all.
No, thankfully not. There was a time when we were looking for premises here in Clonakilty before we moved to Little Island. We really didn't want to move out of Clonakilty, but and the only way at the time was if we had a foreign investor, we could have got an IDA premises, but that didn't. You know, we went down the road. We entertained a German sausage manufacturer, and it was, you know, but it never happened. It never happened. We were always, I suppose, we find another way.
Yeah. Well done. That's great. It's a great story, and it's well, it's not a story. It's a fact. It's not.
Yeah.
It's
and I suppose for me then, you know, I was always background. Eddie was always front runner, and then in 2005 he passed away, and it was a case of either sell the business or rejig it. You know, we just had to. So I took a mentor, a business advisor, and which helped me an awful lot, which really helped me an awful lot. And then it helped me personally to know that, you know, you couldn't run a business by anybody else's style, only your own. You have to get your own team around you, that's when the structure really came into the business of KPIs and management meetings and all of that. That's really, and that was only in 2000 and 2006.
And I mean that was a substantial business at that stage.
It was in that it was with the four big, or the bigger multiples in the country. It was around the country. It was, and a trickle to the UK, and that. And
did the brand grow itself, or did you have to put effort and money into the Clonakilty brand, because it is a very strong brand now?
I suppose a lot of effort in the early days, and then I suppose we kind of stuck very true to our values, and our values were quality, and we were very aware of and I was aware of what other companies were doing, and as well, and a lot of people were I suppose they were racing to the bottom really with price cutting, and you can't. My sales manager now will hear me saying it, so many times. You cannot be a busy fool, and you can't be.
Absolutely.
You can't be accommodating supermarkets to the point where you're not making a margin. And if you're not making a margin, you're a very busy fool. And you have to you owe to your staff, you owe to everybody to stay in business, really, and you can't do that if you're not.
I think if you're too busy in a business, the first thing you look at doing is put up your prices.
Yes.
To slow the thing down, take the heat out of it. You'll probably make more profit, and it'll be controlled. You won't run out of control, or it's very easy to run out of control by dropping your price and getting your volume up to an extent that you're not making any money.
Yeah, and then the thing is, you are, you're too busy. You can't look at your efficiencies. You can't look at any of that aspect. You're better off having a bit less, standing back, and putting your house in order, in better order, really.
Have you ever thought of going global and opening a factory, to say, in Europe or?
The factories, no. We a few years ago, well, we were always getting emails, and we had a connection in Australia, and Irish people in Australia were always looking for the taste of home, the potatoes, the Barry's tea, and the pudding. And
you've got in on that shelf. In fairness to you, you are now one of the standard Irish products that every paddy in Australia wants with their crisps.
It is, yeah. So what we do in Australia is that we contract manufacture with a small butcher manufacturer over in Melbourne, and then and we send. I mix the spice. The spice for the pudding never changed, and we can't send meat product over there, but we can send the spice, and he makes to our under license, and we that's the supply of pudding in Australia. Like from here, we send it to the UAE, we send to France or Spain, or that can all happen from here and the UK.
Right.
Now,
right.
Brexit is another issue, but if we I suppose being ready for Brexit for us means if there are tariffs, then we have a facility in Northern Ireland that we can match with to make our pudding, and we'll just have to wait and see.
And tell me, just what level of technology, what difference has technology made to your business? I mean, you started mixing the stuff in a churn in the kitchen, more or less.
Exactly. Well, I suppose, you see, the rules and regulations have got so tight and so stringent, really. And our technology now, everything coming in is scanned in, and we know exactly where it comes from. It's, all our meat is traceable, all our peanut, we're dealing with flavins for oatmeal since day one, since right. six bags in the butcher shop to 60 pallets now, so that's, and I suppose that's where, loyalty and looking after people, that's where people come into it again. But it's sorry, Peter, I lost my train of thought there.
Just I'm interested in how technology has assisted you in upping your production and lowering your keeping your costs in line as well.
Our you see, actually making the pudding is so hands-on. It is, and it's still quite hands-on, but actually, your machinery are bigger, you're automated, but your systems for your traceability, your efficiencies, that's all there now. That's all there. And I suppose for us, it was coming here to Clonakilty now in 2017. It was, the systems were available, expensive but available. And in Cork, we had all the it was much more manual. All our cooking and our everything was all very, very manual in Cork. So we're very much more efficient and much more automated here now in Clonakilty.
Yeah, I was at the time I was amazed at your move to Little Island, because we would have identified Clonakilty pudding and sausages with Clonakilty.
Yes.
Did your brand suffer at all by relocating out of Clonakilty?
Well, I suppose we didn't ever shout it from the rooftops, really. But it was an absolute needs must at the time. There was we just couldn't afford to build, and anything here had to have a license, and that's why we were considering a German partner at the time. Because there was a premises that was owned by the IDA at the time, but they were for foreign investment only, and so we did go well down that route, but we didn't. We felt we'd gain a lot, but we'd lose an awful lot more, and we'd lose our. So there was a license, even though the building was broken down in Cork. It was Murphy's Evergreen old premises, and there was a license attached to it. and that's why we were able to. So I suppose we have always been you know, very hands-on and just finding solutions all the time. There's, you know,
I've just had a flash up on the screen here, Colette, telling me that we've been talking for 20 minutes. It seems like about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
No. I just to wrap up on that, I'm interested just to the financials and the way that you managed to get through from being a small butcher shop to being a fairly large factory, without selling your soul. I think that's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, without selling our soul. Well, we've had a very, I suppose we've had a very, very good track record with banks, and we've borrowed at the highest times, and you know, thankfully have been able to pay back all along the way. And when it came to building here, we looked at lots and lots of options. You know, we had, that was the time really, we were spending about 7 million here in Clonakilty for the building and the getting it, you know, it was a matter of where do we start? And we went through a lot. We went through a lot of options.
One last thing, when you started, could you possibly have imagined yourself in the position you're in now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not for a moment. Not for a moment, because and I had absolutely no business background, nothing like that. And I suppose it's telling you that you can acquire the skills. The skills can be acquired. They really can. And
so the passion for the product is the primary ingredient in all this.
It is, and a lot of hard passion for work as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's they don't go. They have to go hand in hand. Passion alone is not enough. You have to.
And the other thing I take from this chat is not to be afraid to put up your prices.
Oh yes, well, you know,
let your product stand on the quality.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, if you're putting quality ingredients together, then you deserve you deserve not to be doing it for nothing, you know.
Right. Okay.